You have spent too much of your time wondering whether or not you are good enough, and not enough time realizing that the person you're fighting for will never be brave enough to love you back. R.H. Sin.
It's our first podcast. So
our first podcast episode. We're a little nervous because this is weird, but we getting weird. It.
Okay.
Welcome to the Sis and Giggles podcast, where we talk about everything from friendship to fun, food, relationships, and everything in between. Mm-hmm. I'm Karen.
I'm Keisha. Keontae, y'all can call me Keontae.
Not Keontae. I'm Killer K.
Yeah, all right.
Actually, Keisha gave me the nickname Killer K.
I did. Oh, that was like 8 years ago. We've been on each other for a long time.
For a long time. We met working together.
You actually stole my job.
I did.
You stole my job.
Yeah. Then you had to do a harder job.
And then I had to do a harder job. And then I literally quit. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, today is all about Sis and Giggles. So it's a podcast, like she said, about everything lifestyle, adulting, sex. So we are going to sit back. We're going to chill. We're going to eat some food.
Mm-hmm. So drink some wine.
You do not know what time it is, but it's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Always 5 o'clock somewhere.
So every episode, we will have something different to eat. So today we are going to be doing a mixed berry cheesecake. So if you want to know the recipes and the instructions on how to do it and what to go into it, you guys can go to our Patreon. That will be linked below. Wherever below is, but we will be linked below, and you guys can get the recipes and see what we eating and see how it's made.
Yes. And other BTS too.
Yes. So we have a lot of funny moments. But Karen is going to tell you guys what today's episode is going to be about, and then we're going to get into it. So go ahead.
All right, y'all. So we are going to talk about red flags, and not just red flags in romantic relationships, but red flags in friendship and business, you name it. Red flags are red flags. You know, they're the things you need to avoid. But why don't we avoid red flags?
You can edit this out. So, all right. So red flags, of course, you want to make sure that you guys just aren't being blind to certain situations. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, of course, you're like, oh, well, maybe this didn't happen, or maybe I'm seeing something different. But over time, you guys, you kind of like your eyes open, right? So there are about 6 to 7 reasons why you should flag on a plane. Why you guys should, take accountability and look at what's going on with the red flags. So I know everybody's been seeing this viral TikTok. It's like a mini whatever. She has like 50 something parts of Who Did I Marry, and we're gonna go over that. But here are some reasons why you should, and I need to stop talking with my hands, but here are some reasons why you should acknowledge red flags. The first one, of course, is protecting yourself, preserving well-being, preventing escalation, maintaining healthy boundaries, promoting communication, facilitating growth, and, of course, prioritizing respect. So we are in a new year. It is all about self-care. Put yourself first. I don't care if that man is paying them bills, girl. You can put yourself first.
Period.
So with that being said,
let's jump right into
it.
So, I have not watched the full series.
I have. Yeah, I have
watched the full series. So, Keisha, tell us a little bit. Give us like a high level of the series and like what you saw.
Okay, so high level, she met this guy on a dating site. They met for a date, and it was all love bombing. So the first date actually started off with a damsel in distress kind of situation because her tire blew out and he came to her rescue. So her tire blew out, he came to her rescue.
And he was 6'5".
And he was 6'5". I mean, I'm 6 feet and my husband is 6'4". So I get it. So it was, if y'all haven't been in the dating field, men are kind of no offense, some men are kind of trash, but he came out, he changed a tire, put a dummy on it, bought it to a place, she got a new tire, they went on a date, bam. This is at the beginning of COVID, and then they dated for 2 weeks, and then they decided to quarantine together. So I don't know how you feel about moving in with somebody after 2 weeks, but I can't even really necessarily say, well, that was a red flag, because in some instances it is a red flag, but personally speaking, my situation, I did not meet my husband during COVID, but when we met, it was kind of like a spark, and he kind of never left. But that's not to say that he didn't have a place to go. So that's the first red flag, right? Does this have a place to go? My husband, or my boyfriend at the time, he had a place to go. We just was always around each other. But you can't really tell if you're on quarantine if somebody has some place to go, because you're on quarantine and you can't really go. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I married a stranger. And then moved in with said stranger.
Right.
And then got quarantined after about 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, my situation was obviously a little bit different for those of you that are following, because you've been following my journey since reality TV.
Right.
You kind of know how I got there. But, yeah, so I can't judge Shorty that much.
All right. So no judgment on that part of it.
But I will say, moving in after 2 weeks, pandemic or not, is a lot. Like you said, you can have somebody where y'all have a spark and like he just over here all the time, right? But like, does that man have a home?
Does he have a home? Did you see that home? Like, everything is seen is believed. Like, I need to see where you lay your head up at night. Like, I can't be your only place of restitude. Like,
because where were you staying before me?
Where were you staying before me?
But in her defense, he did have a place. Remember? Didn't she see her in his little studio?
He did have a studio.
Yeah.
He did have a studio. Okay, so, all right. After...
Okay, but I got one more comment.
Okay,
even so... It's the pandemic. Like, I feel like moving in together just because it was the pandemic was a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Because y'all could have just came back and forth and visited
back and forth
each other. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to actually like have a conversation about where are we going to quarantine together. Yeah. And I know it was scary times. I know everybody was freaking out. But like, truth be told, I was still seeing like some of my friends and my family, like, we just visited. Like, a lot of people I know had sneaky links going on. You know, they had their pandemic booth, but they didn't, like, live together full time.
And I think that was more of, like, a social gathering type of situation in a work event. Like, because people are, of course, we're still going to the grocery stores. You still have stuff that needs to be getting done. People were buying houses and stuff like that. So, in the beginning, it was very serious. I get that. But over time, it could have been like, all right, you got to go home. Right. What we doing?
I don't know where you're gonna go, sir, but you gotta
get out of here.
Up out of here. Okay. So definitely that one was a red flag for me. Yeah. Like the fact that y'all moved in and like quarantine together.
Yeah.
Because like I worked in healthcare. I was going into the hospital and all of that. And like, yeah, you had your nest of people, but that didn't mean that you were confined like to the house with them. Like they could still have their own house.
And then after 2 weeks, you don't really know too much about who this person is.
I feel like you don't know these men. After like... Oh, girl.
You never know somebody. You never really know. You never really know somebody. Like, you never really know. I've been with my husband almost 10 years, and this stuff about him, like, I know, but I don't know. Like,
my mom has always told me you never fully know a person.
You never fully
know a person. Yeah. Like, she's like, even after being with your daddy for over 40 years, like, there are still parts of him that I don't know. And like, for me personally, I feel like people have always started off one way in relationships with me. And then by the end of the relationship, I'd be like, who are you? Like, this cannot be the person I fell for. But it's like,
people change.
Yeah, like people change. Or like, honestly, I always say, like, the first 6 months you meeting their representative. Like, they own their best.
I give them the first year.
Right. And it can go longer than that. That's the crazy part. It can go longer than that. And then the switch up can be crazy. So like 2 weeks to me is insane. Like to like be merging my life with you after 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Okay. So that was red flag number one. Whatever. What else did we say we wanted to hit on?
The finance part.
The
houses, the cars.
She made a point to say that she stayed with him because he was paying the bills, right? Where she stayed at, I think she said she had like a 3-bedroom house or something, 2-bedroom, but it was only $1,000. And he was paying the house bills and she was able to keep her check for herself and do what she needed. Now, I've been in situations where I was single and paying everything I needed to. And if somebody came along and was a little relief, then I was happy for it. But at the same time, my mental state is more important than a man paying a bill. Mm-hmm. I was making it before you came.
Yeah.
So I can make it after you leave. Being with somebody because they're paying the bills is not an excuse, especially if you have a full-time job and especially if you were doing all of this before that man came along.
Yeah. She was holding it down herself.
She was holding it down herself.
She had more. And I won't say, I don't know what his bank account looked like, right? And for those
taking screenshots, oh my! If you have not watched it, watch it. He was taking screenshots off of Google.
Is that what happened?
Yes, because she was like, "Well, I saw his."
He took,
but I saw his because at one point in time they were trying to buy a house.
I did watch that.
One point in time they were trying to buy a house, and she was like, "Well, I saw him, log into his Chase account and I saw a bank balance." What you saw was him going through his phone and acting like he was logging in and turn around and showing you a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So I guess I was saying like, and granted, this is no judgment because I feel like I've had to learn my lesson in this realm too, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like she started off honestly having more than him. Like she had her 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and maybe it wasn't quite in the neighborhood that she wanted. But it's like you said, she was holding it down on her own. Like she was doing good without him.
Right.
And whereas I can see like the appeal of being like, oh, like he's helping financially, blah, blah, blah. Like I've only had one relationship where I trusted a man to help me financially. Like when I dead ass tell you I had never had a man pay a bill for me, like not even the light bill, nothing, like besides my daddy, until I was married. I get her like, oh, that's nice to have that help, like you said, but like that's not a reason to like keep him around or move him in after 2 weeks.
Right. And the type of person that my parents have raised is, one, you keep money backed up, stashed up somewhere. Like you always have a safety net for something. 2 is I will find a way, because I just feel like, I don't want to say I have that much pride, but I have too much to ask somebody, can you do this? Like
I'm gonna be honest, and maybe I'm scarred, but it's like, I'm not ever doing that shit again.
I think that situations are different, right? Like, so what I was saying was, now that I remember, I've always had money on the side for a rainy day, and I have a lot of pride. So I feel like I shouldn't have to ask you for something. And as a man, if you see something, of course, you're supposed to just, hey, here's blah, blah, blah for such and such. And I'm not saying that he wasn't doing that or he was, but it's just being independent it just feels so much better than dependent on somebody.
Yeah.
And that should never be an excuse. And everybody is different, right? I'm not going to sit here and say you should never do this, because my situation is different than somebody's situation. So they might actually put up with that person because they need it. But that was a red flag for me, girl.
Yeah, but she didn't need it. That's the thing. Like, I could see if sis was like, I was struggling to pay the bills. Like, I didn't know how I was going to make it next month. But
what I found, like, it was more like a luxury, because she was like, I want a house.
Right.
I wanted a new car.
Right.
He was going to give me a car.
Right.
He was going to get this house. Mother MFO was he was like, I want to do a cash. Oh, you no, do it. I'm a cash $600,000-$700,000. If you got $600,000 and $700,000 in your account, because we living where we living,
Right.
we can be in a condo somewhere.
Right. Why are you living where you're living?
Where you living?
Like, even with the whole, I'm just getting settled.
And then he was like, okay, I played arena football. Side note, my husband played arena football.
I was about to tell you, I dated somebody who played arena football. That nigga was borrowing money from me left and right. Left and right. I ain't get it back. Either.
So if you listening, sir, please run me my coin. Run her coins.
Please.
But like, that should have been whatever. Yeah. But next thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about, we talked about them moving in. We talked about finances. Let's talk about him talking too much. Shut up.
Okay. I've always had a thing, and maybe because I don't want to say I'm semi-antisocial, but I'm semi-antisocial. I like who I like, and I go out in certain areas with the people that I like. I've always found out that if I'm around somebody and they talk a lot about what they have, what they can do, I did this, I did that. You motherfucker, you lying. Like, what you lying for? Like, why do you feel like you have to impress me? Like, why are you, this is not I did this, I'm better than you, I can go ahead and do this. Oh, I can, like, he was like, I can fight, I'm going to buy, like, when he met her parents, he was like, oh, I'm going to buy your daughter a car, we're going to do this. Like, why are you trying to impress me with financial whatever? Like, red flag on the play. Like, just be yourself. If you be yourself, if you're trying to impress me with the stuff that you have, I'll automatically feel like you don't have it, or you're trying to make up for something. Like, just be you. Just chill out.
Okay. And I agree with you. I think when people talk too much, that's a turn off. Like, if you're bragging on how much you have and what you can do for me, especially if you go as far as like telling my family and friends, I'm going to be like, okay, sir.
Right.
But the other issue I have is she kept saying like he bragged on that he could fight. I'm sorry. If you are a grown ass man who keeps bragging on the fact that you can fight, if that's even a fact, like, right? Because you might get your ass whipped. But that to me, like, that just screams like just immature, insecure, like, we grown as hell. Why are you bragging on that's not attractive to me.
And you know what's funny? If you make it to the end, she said that his brother, because she talked to his brother was like, if I see him, I'm going to whoop his ass. So it's like, can you really fight?
That's what I'm like,
what's happening? So yeah, I just feel like if you're talking too much, like, you got something to hide. I feel like you're talking so much, so I won't ask you I won't ask Dill's deep dive questions, because you're just giving me surface level, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do that, and I can do this, and I'm going to do that, and I've done that.
I hate surface level shit. Yeah. Like, that is such a turn off to me. Like, you bragging about what you have and what you can do, and I don't know if I'm like too humble, but like, I don't do any of that. Like, you gonna see what I have to offer and you gonna like it or not.
Yeah, like,
I'm not about to be walking around here, oh, I could fight, oh, I got all this money, oh, I'm such a good this and that. Like,
and I feel like that kind of shows with your friends. Like, I am not a flashy person. I'm not a look at me person. So my friends are like, chill. Like, we chill, we do this, we do that. Like, none of us like out of the way. We don't have, and that's just me. Like what they say, birds of a feather flock together. My flock, like, we all are the same people in the same sense. Like, we all driven, we out here, we getting our money, and we quiet on the back, and we don't put all our business out. Like, we do what we have to do, and we're not like, I did this and this and this and this. Like, I can't, that's not my energy. Like, match my energy.
Yeah.
But
have you ever had a situation like with a man where you feel like he was just talking way too much?
My ex was like that. Like, he would, around my parents, he would be like the perfect person, like, you know, oh, I did this. I have this going for myself. I want to do that. And, you know, eventually this is how it's going to go. But when we got home, it was like, you ain't nothing like you said you would, like you putting on a front to try to impress my parents, but it's like, I know you.
I just got
like, I know you. Like, you saying all this and you acting and you like everything is fine, but you're insecure. Mm-hmm. At one point, I mean, you were so insecure, like you would call me every time I said I was going by my parents' house, like just to make sure I was actually there because you thought I was doing something I had no business. And it's like, what?
And see, that's happening. Like, I feel like people... you know, maybe a lot of people just haven't had this experience either, because like I don't like the whole presenting as Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's like, because one, nobody is perfect. So like if you around here thinking just because like a man speaks well, he talks about the things he can do for you, he, you know, says everything you want to hear, like, oh, you know, he wants a relationship so bad, or he wants to marry you, girl, or like you're perfect for him and this and that. It is bull. Like, and I don't know. I just feel like, especially at our age, like, come on. Wait, we young. Right. We ain't got mid. I say our age, but just honestly, like, I feel like once you reach your mid-20s, like, you have to know that is fake.
I feel like, okay, I even give 20s. Like, you have to be a mature.
That's what I said, mid-20s.
Yeah. I think that at 30, some things just click, like.
Yeah.
Like, your time for your wasting times part of your life is gone. Like, I'm out here, I'm just not figuring out. Like, I know what I got to do to make this money. Mm-hmm. I know what I got to do to be happy. If I don't have a family already, then I know what I got to do to be traveling. Or you're not coming, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Like, your priorities are different. So, girl, what's next on the list?
Let's talk about the background check. So, full disclosure, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay.
So I saw where you said like, oh, shorty, like, or I saw where she said like she took his social and like nothing came up. But then you informed me that there was a like legit background check for another social. So that's another thing, y'all. He lied about his social.
Okay, at this point, he was lying about everything. If he told you the sun was out, you gotta walk outside and look for yourself because the sun probably wasn't out. So she said that on their marriage license, isn't that a felony or something? Like if you lied on your marriage, like there's two things.
Right.
So he lied on his social, on his marriage license, and then she did like a background check on that. And also on the marriage license, he said that he was only married once. He was married twice. And the reason she found out that the social was wrong is because she had applied for a new job. And it was some type of job where she needed to have the information, or they needed the information for the spouse. So he put down another social. So she was like, wait, if
it's a different social.
It's a different social. So if like the first three letters on the marriage certificate were 1, 2, 3, everything was the same but on the background check, it was 4, 5, 6. So she was like, something's not adding up. Mm-hmm. And also when she finally talked to the brother, she was like, he asked her, well, did you do a background check on him? And that's when she paid and did a full background check on him. And she seen that he had got like arrested when he was young. And then he was impersonating a police officer. Impersonating a police officer, went to some apartments.
That's the thing. They be going too far.
Wait, but listen, impersonating a police officer, went to these people's houses, was looking for drugs and money, went to a woman's house, like was patting people down. You went and tried to search a woman's house. Good thing she worked for like a local police officer, a police station, and she called and was like, nah, son. And they arrested him, and he ended up having to do a week in jail. And she found this out because he had left. When she kicked him out, like finally kicked him out, he left a lot of his stuff, and she was going through his backpack. Now, today's world, guys, everybody's Googling everything. We so caught up in TikTok, Facebook, whatever. Make sure y'all Googling these people's information. Even if I feel like we feel like she kept saying that she was feeling something. She was feeling something. She was feeling something. If you feel something, like your gut would never lie to you.
Your
gut
intuition
is not going
never
to lie to you. And so I'll tell you a personal story with me. When I met my husband, we met on a dating site. It's just what it is. We met on a dating site, and I didn't give my first name. I didn't give my real name. And then when we met, like I had people like, hey, I'm going here. This is my location. If I ain't back, call me, whatever. And then a lot of information was given in our first meeting. He gave me his full name. Best believe when I got home, I Googled him and some stuff came up. Right? So I asked him about it. I'm going to ask you about it because I want to know. But everybody's situation is different. And I remember this. The next day I went to church, and the sermon, the preacher was speaking on forgiving people and seeing them for where they are and understanding life decisions and stuff like that. So I don't know if the Lord was talking to me and like, hey, blase.
Come around.
Like, yeah.
Don't be Judge Judy.
Right. So, you have to, I'm not saying don't date a felon, don't date this, whatever. That you date who you want. Just be mindful and educate yourself on what's out there and what to look for. But if he out here impersonating an officer and out here like going in people's houses, like, sir, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? But, girl, do your background checks.
Yeah.
Ask somebody what they say, the 6 degrees for every person. There's like 6 people that we gonna know somebody. Ask somebody about somebody, show a picture. Don't be like, oh, and I understand people like to keep their relationship quiet, but somebody gotta know something about somebody. Yeah. And even with her, she like, you want to meet people, like meet family members, but she was meeting family members and friends that didn't tell her no different. So it's like, how do you know? Yeah. How do you know? Like, if the people around you are going...
Well, wasn't he lying about his family members and friends?
He lied and said that some woman was an aunt, and she wasn't. She was like the mother's best friend. And he lied and said that somebody was his brother. But in reality, when all the stuff started coming out the closet, they were like, oh, we are like brothers, but that ain't my brother.
But no, like, I think that stuff is a red flag too. And like, I have people like, say I introduce them, like I might, like, for instance, one of my mama friends. Oh yeah, let's joke around, call this my auntie. But I'm gonna let you know that's really not my auntie. Like, that's my mama's sister, but like she grew up, that's my mama friend.
Give me a backstory.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And if people can't do that, I think that's a red flag.
Yeah. If you can't be honest with me, if you feel like you can't be honest with me, then we'll be together for
right.
Like it's simple things, little things turned into big things. So just like nip it in the bud before there's any confusion.
Yeah. Let's talk about the marriage part, because like they got married very quickly, in my opinion. And again, maybe it's just because I'm like, I move slow because I'm like, you don't know a person, but like, tell me how they got to marriage.
So
with all them red flags, with all them faults, the houses, the baby.
It's so much, y'all. And we only touching on a little. A little bit. So they got married, and I don't even know what the reasoning behind it. And I probably missed this part, but at one point she was pregnant, and then she felt like, as a Black Baptist, or I feel like Christian. We have a Black Christian, we get put so many, you need to be married before you have a child. And I kind of felt that when I was pregnant and not married, right? So disclosure, I got married when I was 8 months pregnant, but judge your mama, don't judge me.
And you were already engaged though, huh? Were you engaged?
It was like, I got engaged when I was like a month pregnant.
Okay.
And then we got married, and it was like cool. It was a lot happening.
But I feel like y'all
we were dating for 6 years.
I feel like that's so different. Like y'all were already on the track for this. Like, known this man a couple months,
Yeah. So
less than a year.
She felt that, and
can you please drink so I don't look like a lush?
I already drunk something, you damn lush. All right. Okay. So she felt like she felt like because she was living with this man, she needed to be married, and because she was pregnant before him, she needed to be married. And I guess she was getting to a certain age where she felt like she needed to get married. I get it, right? Growing up black in a black household, it's always like, you need to be married. What's going on? And it's crazy, right? Because when you're young, they're like, you have your whole life ahead of you, don't have these kids. And then like 20 just switch, like, when you gonna give us some grandkids? Like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. So I hate that society put pressures on us, like, you have to be married by a certain age, you have to have a child by a certain age. Janet Jackson had a child at 50.
Right.
I ain't saying that we all got Janet Jackson money, but at the same time, live your life. Like, live your life. I had my daughter at 31. Granted, I'm tired, but like, I understand what life was. I had something kind of figured out. And I don't want to feel pressure to do something. Like, some people, and I'm only having, and I don't want to break this about me, but I'm only having one child. People put the pressure on you, like, you need to have more than one. Like, no, I don't. Not at all. Not at all. And it's like, we feel bad for living our life. Like, you feel bad for making your decisions how you want to live your life because of what other people say or what. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm getting old and I'm not married. Girl,
because see, right. And my family's very traditional when it comes to this stuff too. So it's like, and like, again, my situation is different because of the way I got married. And now divorced. Just want to clarify that. But like, my situation's different. But like, my sister, for example, like, she's lived with like boyfriends that she wasn't married to. My parents had an issue with it. Like, they were not happy about that. But truth be told, it's like, you could look at it from that angle, or you could look at it from the other angle. Like, it gives you a chance to like know what it's really like to like live day in and out with that person. Right. Because it's like, what if y'all move in together and you figure out like y'all are not compatible at all when it comes to a living situation. Right. Or like, I don't know, people be nasty. Right. And
don't be your drawers. What do we do? Why, boy? Look, I'm not your mama. Right. I am not your mother. Like,
but like, I don't, like you said, live your life. Like, and I mean, not everything is meant to last either. Like, I feel like we also put on this pressure that like, because you did like, I feel like that's pressure she put on herself. Like, oh, I'm pregnant for this man, or like, I was pregnant because unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, because she probably didn't need to be with him anyway, right? But it's like she lost the baby. And it's just like, I feel like she put pressure on herself because society put pressure on her, right? Her family put pressure on her to feel like you should be married. Like, if you're pregnant for this man, and it's just like, no, that's not always, that doesn't mean that should be your person just because, oh, we ended up pregnant.
Right. And as long as that man is taking care of his child, then there should be no issues. Even if you're married and it's like, this isn't working, I shouldn't stay in this marriage because we have a child. Because apparently it's not working because something is not working in their relationship, and that person is doing what they want to do even though you have a child. And that's, as long as your focus with that person is your child. If something happens today or tomorrow with my husband, my baby is going to be taken care of. I don't care what me and you got going on. We could, and I'm going to say we ain't got to talk, but as long as that child is taken care of and you're taking care of your responsibilities, we good. So it's just, y'all stop putting pressure on people. Stop asking people when you getting pregnant, when you getting married, when you having a kid. Ooh, that baby need a brother or sister. They don't.
Or even like, I saw the other day on Instagram, it was this girl talking about how, she was in this 4-year relationship with a man, and basically he didn't want to move forward with marriage. And she's like, I got rid of the man, because she's just like,
don't waste my time.
Don't waste my time. And she was like, a lot of people, looked at her like, oh, you crazy. What's wrong with you? Y'all been together. Just be patient, blah, blah, blah. But she's like, if you don't know after 4 years,
then what we doing?
If you want to be with me like that, what are we doing? Like, if we've been in this committed relationship, like we're both stable, our careers are good, like what is your excuse?
Right. And there's a lot of people who stay in relationship because one day, or I'll change him. You cannot change somebody. Oh my God.
You can't.
Cannot change somebody, or either you're going to live with the person that they are, or you need to find somebody else. Because I've had so many delulu people. It's like, oh, I'm going to change him.
Yeah.
Or certain situations where people are like, I'm dealing with this married man, but he's not in a happy relationship. What?
Right.
He know how to get a divorce.
Right. He know how to get a divorce.
Because at the end of the day, he got a wife.
Yeah. And that trumps
and that ain't
anything you are.
Yeah, like
period. It does.
Like,
That's
she
just
get the
fact.
401k.
Right. That's
get a text message. This ain't gonna work.
If that. Because we disappear.
There you go. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, child. Okay. Next.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I also feel like red flags don't just exist in romantic relationships, right? Like I feel like red flags can exist anywhere.
Right.
Friendships, business, like those are red flags. Like, I don't know. In friendships, when I think about red flags, I think about friends that are like yes men, right? Like almost that toxic positivity, like whatever you're doing, even if you like smoking crack, they like, yes,
not the crack.
hit the crack pipe.
My bad. Look, you over here looking like Wanda from Holiday. You will not be my friend.
Not Wanda from Holiday Hearts. But no, they really have like people like that. And like one thing I can say about my friends, which I feel like I'm blessed, like y'all will be like, girl, you tripping.
Right.
Like y'all don't overstep, right? But in like a gentle but also direct way, I feel like my friends can be like, so you don't think this is weird? Right. Or like, you don't think that maybe you should do XYZ differently?
Because I feel like if you're my real friend, because you can have a lot of associates, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's my associate. You can't call everybody your friend.
You can't.
If you're my friend, you should feel comfortable enough to be like, Keisha, I don't know about that. Like, at the same time, I'm going to give you my opinion, but I'm going to let you come up with your conclusion on yourself.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you what I feel, what I see, because you might be so deep into it that you can't see. So I'm going to be like, from my outside looking in, this is what I see. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold it against you. Like, that's your life. You're going to do it. But if I see you doing something like smoking crack, what we doing?
Right.
You go to rehab? Like,
right. No, facts.
Yeah.
Facts. What are like, I guess, you have any other like friendship red flags?
I feel like they have those friendships that are like jealousy type of friendship. Like you were saying earlier, like if your friend cannot celebrate your successes for you or with you, then there's a problem. If you're doing something and they're never there, or if they always want to, hey, you had this going on, but can me and you do something separately? Like you feel like they have to keep you to themselves. That's an issue, because what the problem is, like, we both are business owners. You can't call yourself my friend if you've never stepped into my establishment. So if you guys don't know, I own a bakery. If you don't know what my bakery looks like, if you don't even know what a cookie, like, you don't have to buy stuff from me. You can just come and be like, hey, Keisha, blah, blah, blah. Let's do this. Oh, whatever. Let me like a picture on your Instagram.
Right. And so that's what I was about to say. Support too can be shown in different ways. Like, say you don't have the money for whatever reason, like you can't afford to buy a cookie. Posting is free. Liking a picture is free.
It's free.
Sharing your content, passing out your business card. Like you said, stopping by just to see your shop.
Free.
Obviously, you know, if you're not living in like a different state or some shit. But like,
girl, I got people I ship. I have people.
Keisha said, ain't no excuse.
Ain't no excuse. It's no excuse. But I just feel like they have some friends that's low-key rooting against you.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to see you doing better than them. And it sometimes take a while for you to see that type of friendship because they are manipulative and they hide that shit real good.
Really good.
But once you see that person, and I'm the type of person that in order for you to be my friend, we got to been through some like, girl, I really F with you heavy, but I'm not going to outright not be your friend or not be your associate. Like in my mind, like, all right, well, this person went from friend to associate.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna treat you how I see you acting.
Yeah.
So we could be cordial. Hey girl, how you doing? We'll go out to eat. But at the same time, I know how you are and I'm gonna treat you on that level.
Yeah.
And some people can't do that. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you should. I mean, some people be like, how you could be friends with this person eating if you know that they not supporting you or not, whatever. As long as she ain't out here talking on my name.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I've always, well, I won't say always, but like I reached a point in my life to where I started kind of putting people in buckets.
Yeah, you have to. Because
it's like I have like my core friends, right? Those are the people who know all my business. Like if something happens in my life, it don't matter. It don't even matter if I ain't talked to you in like 6 months, right? Because low maintenance friendships, I think, is like
the best.
They are the best. But that's like another thing. I feel like red flag on friendships. Red flag on friendships is like when, like you said, you're a high maintenance friend, like especially right now in like the stage of life that we're in. Like if you feel like our friendship isn't the same or you're questioning if we're friends, period, because I don't know, I'm not spending as much time with you or something like that. Like to me, that's a red flag because it's like, okay, we have to be realistic and like truthfully, we all go through like changes and phases. Like going through my divorce was like the hardest time in my life. I didn't see my friends as much. Like was depressed. What do you want from me? Like, and the friends who didn't understand that and felt like, you know, oh, they're taking it personally and stuff like that.
On them, like,
right. It's not about you. And the fact that you made it about me and you know that I have all this stuff going on. Like, can I really call you my friend? You know, or like you're a new mother, like obviously not brand new, like, but like you're a new, exactly. You're a new mother. You have a lot going on. Like you have a whole husband, like you have a whole household. I'm not sitting up here in my feelings because I'm like, I ain't see Keisha in 3 months.
I have people.
Keisha got a life.
I have friends that I legit just sent memes to, like, if you reply to my meme, I know you alive, right?
Yes.
And there's some times where I haven't talked to a friend. I be like, damn, they ain't really say nothing. Am I tripping? Like, I always have that am I tripping moment. They ain't really say nothing in a while. I'm going to send you a text message, be like, hey, you all right? Because are you okay? Are you breathing?
Yeah.
Because it's like you get so caught up in your life, right?
Yeah.
We're getting older. I have about we just started this podcast. I have a business. I have a new child. I have a husband. I have a household to take care of. I have extracurricular activities. You know, it's a lot of, I have to make time for me. Like
you, yeah.
It's a lot. So sometimes you get so wrapped up in yourself. It's like, shit, I really care about this person. Let me talk to him. When I have a sister, like if I don't talk to her early in the morning, sometimes I don't talk to her forever. Like, and that's my sister.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, facts.
I'm not saying that my friends are important, but
we all we all have priorities. We all have shit to do. And to me, the friendships that stand the test of time are the ones that understand that. Like, that's what I said. I think it's
low maintenance friendship.
Yes. Cause like, that's why I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't.
And that's just from out, like, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, birds of a feather. That's our perspective on friendships. Like, and some people might like a high maintenance friendship where they go out and do all of the rest of this stuff and take up a big chunk of their time. But as for me and mine,
that's for me and mine.
Low maintenance.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
And then I think just like the appreciation piece, like having a friend that appreciates your time. Like, I haven't seen you in 6 months, girl, but like, I'm making time to see you today. So like,
Right.
Are you cherishing that time? Are we just having a good time? Are we enjoying each other? Or are you bitching about how you ain't seen me and like catching an attitude or like acting funny? Like, have you ever had a friend do that? Y'all finally see each other, and then they like, you could tell that they acting funny because they haven't seen you.
Well, I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, like passive aggressive stuff.
I can stay in my house all day and be perfectly fine.
Be
okay,
happy,
be perfectly fine,
happy.
So yeah, I've had some situations like that, but yet again, that's one of those situations like, I see you for what you are.
Mhm.
I'm going to make a mental note of that, and I'm going to treat you as such.
I'm gonna put you in that
Moving
bucket.
forward, A, B, and C equals 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
I ain't got time. I don't have time. My time is precious. I ain't got time. But yes.
Okay, as business owners, or entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call us, we're both, whatever. What are like the red flags you see in business?
One, your friends cannot always be your business partner. Family cannot be business partner. They can't. As a business owner, and I haven't gotten this a lot, but it has happened to me. I've had family members that have never came to my business, but as soon as they have like a wedding or something, they automatically think that it's going to be free. If I don't offer it to you, don't assume that I'm going to give it to you. Or if you're my friend, you know this is how I make my money.
Yeah.
So don't say, well, what about my discount? Or what about this? Or what about that? Or, last year it was, don't question my prices. Like last year you only charged me such and such, but this year, have you seen we're in a recession?
Butter's expensive.
Butter is expensive. Girl, somebody will fight you over some eggs.
Girl.
Like, what are we doing? So I feel like if you are red flag, if you're like always saying, oh, well, I ain't got this and no, I got this, or you should be able to do this for me, or we friends, or we family, or, I did blah, 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 blah. Like, no.
What's going on?
What's going on? Like, yeah, there are some things like you may have a business that may benefit me and vice versa, and we might barter.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that's an equal exchange.
It
Like
is.
when you decide to barter, like there should be a benefit to both parties. It shouldn't just be like, oh, you're making a cake for my wedding for free.
or
Are you Beyonce? Are you advertising my cake and I'm making it for free? And now like hundreds of thousands of people are going to see that you made my wedding cake, that's a difference. And still, even in that scenario, it's up to you if you charge Beyonce or not. You feel me? Like,
I don't get it. Like, I get it, but like y'all be charging or don't be charging people that got the most money nothing.
Yeah.
And then be taxing the people with no money.
With no money. I've never understood. Yeah.
But if y'all want to send me some free
We gonna put our PO box below. But no, that's I feel like that's a big one in business, is like when people expect like handouts when they like, again, I get barter, like I barter all the time. It's like, okay, I barter with you before, like, okay, like make me this cake, I'm gonna post it, whatever. But it's like for people that are just like, oh, give me this for free. It's like, no, like I can't. Like I have people,
the way the energy bill is set up.
Hello,
bitch.
I have my energy bill off. Right. I feel like me having like, which my platform to me isn't like, I know I have a good platform, but like also I'm not like I got 2.5 million followers or nothing. But like,
this is girl.
And you're right. But it's like people all the time are like, can you post this for me? Can you do this? And it's like, I want to be nice. I do post a lot of things for free, but at the same time, like posting is also how I make my money. Oh. Like it is literally how I make my money. And I mean, I want to get to the point to where I don't even need like that post and exchange money or whatever. But it's like right now, that's my bread and butter. So like to you, it feels simple being like, can you just post this or repost this? But for me, I'm like, I would charge a brand $1,000 for that. I would charge a brand $3,000 for that. Like, right. And it's again how I make my money. So it's just like I feel like just for business, like even if rather it's family, rather it's friends, rather it is Timbuktu off the street that you don't know, like that's a red flag for me. If you're asking me to do things for like free or there's no benefit to me,
right? And I don't ever want it to seem like, if you are my friend and you know I make cakes or whatever, that you absolutely have to get everything from me, because you don't, right? I don't want to feel like I'm monopolizing the market. Yeah. You may just feel like I love her, but maybe my technique isn't what you're looking for. Yeah. You have that option. And I don't feel no type of way about it. Like, you're my friend. I understand it. And I'm be like, oh, well, I can't do that or whatever. But, you know, I feel like sometimes people be trying to sneak and do stuff. Like, it just makes it worse. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, we're adults, and yes, this isn't my field of the stuff that I do, but you have the right to go wherever you want. Like,
and I think too, like that's an expectations thing, like setting the right expectations in business. Like, don't overpromise and underdeliver, which like I'm not perfect. I've had my moments where I do that too. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this by this date. And I'll be like, girl, actually it's another date.
Girl.
But I feel like that's where communication comes into play too. Like even communicating well enough to be like, yo, I wanted to use you, but your price, like, girl, I can't afford you right now. You're not in my budget.
I've done that to you before. I'm like, hey, Carrie, I'm like, bitch, what? I will hit you back. But it's like, you know, I asked. It wasn't like, hey, do this for me. Yeah. It was like, hey, what's your prices? Yeah. Because I know that's how you make your money. And so, and if it wasn't in my call, it wasn't in the cards. It wasn't in the cards. Like, you know, whatever it is, what it is. And if you feel like doing it just because, you feel like doing it just because. If you don't, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of stuff comes down to like the expectations and the communication, like with red flags in general, like all this.
Just do your research, educate yourself, and make the best decisions for you.
Yes.
Do you have anything else?
Oh, closing question.
Ooh.
How many red flags are too many red flags?
One. Ooh, that's a good question. Really one.
Just one?
I mean, you don't want to go up to 5, right? Because
I mean, what if the red flag is more of a yellow flag?
I mean, the yellow ain't a red.
True, yellow ain't red.
Yellow is not red.
Yeah. I mean, I like to give people like room for grace. So like I usually give them like one good up.
Okay, that's one flag, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one flag.
I ain't gonna lie. In the past, I've been that person to like ignore the red flags, like talking yourself into like, oh, but like this person has these qualities and they do XYZ. Like I have been that person in the past.
Right.
I ain't got time for that no more. I don't have capacity for it anymore. Like I'm over it.
So this is what I'm gonna say on it, and this is my last thing. Nobody is perfect. Mm-hmm. Nobody is perfect. What do they say? The 80-20 rule. So that person's going to have 80% of what you're looking for and 20% of what you're like, whatever. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you can live with that person's shortcomings, red flags or whatever, then you make that work for you. Because if you feel like, oh, this person, he don't clip his fingernails but once a week, red flag. Or, you know, he get out the shower and the floor is wet, red flag, he trifling. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? But if it's like big red flags, like he lying on his,
he put a cash offer in.
He put a cash offer in
$1,000 house, but he couldn't show proof of funds. Are you really trying to get the house or no?
No, you're not. Like if it's major red flags, of course
Yeah.
But if it's like little red flags, because some people can be very, very particular, just be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like when you're looking at somebody that you're going to be with, you could be like, all right, well, he does A, B, C, and D, but he doesn't do this. But can I live with this? Can I work around this? Is this something that maybe I'm not doing that is maybe why he's not doing it? Like you have to have, that's when communication falls back in line.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that open line of communication. If you feel like you can't talk to your partner, then that person is not for you.
Yeah.
If you can't talk about the red flags, then that person is
not for you.
You need to address the red flags, figure out what's going on. Like I keep saying, educate yourself, do some research, because they're only going to tell you bits and pieces.
Yeah.
It's up to you to be like, all right, I want to figure out more. So,
and that's another red flag for me. Like in relationships, when people cannot tell you like what some of their, I don't want to say what some of their red flags are, but like when they can't tell you what are some of the things I still struggle with? Like, what are some of the things that I'm not good at that I probably need to do better? Like, I feel like you got to have those sorts of conversations.
Like an interview question.
Yeah.
What are your cons?
And I feel like I need to get better at asking questions, like in general. Like, I need to get a lot more direct. I need to get better at asking questions, because I'm like, some of the flags, if I would have asked the right questions or I would have done the research, like you're saying, like, it would have been like, hey, whoop, man.
That's a bird call.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Ask them questions, do your research, and don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself, and don't think you can change them again.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the first Sis and Giggles episode. We are excited to bring you guys more. Stay tuned. And by the way, Keisha, the cheesecake is bomb.
Yes. Make sure you guys go to our Patreon to get the recipe and instructions on how to make it. This is a baked cheesecake with a mixed berry topping and a fresh whipped cream border. So yeah, guys, this was fun. I can't wait to the next episode. What are we talking about next? Let's talk about sex, baby.
Let's talk about you and me.
All right, guys. Bye.